stats, 2019 and 2020 budgets, the exam announcement, which includes prerequisites to take the exam, what training is required upon initial hiring, use of deadly force, field training, and training in general. So that's just a taste of some of the documents that he's provided to 3 of the subcommittees thus far. So thank you for that, Doug. Very, very quick turnaround there in compiling that. So in case anyone's wondering, obviously, some of you asked for a little bit more than some of what I just mentioned, but I do want to give a little context for some things that may not be available at the moment, or just in general, just because of, different protocols, et cetera. So for anyone who may have been interested in getting like the call log for the dispatch desk, each shift there's about 3 shifts per day, and they use at least 1 page. On the busier days, it could be as much as several pages. So you can imagine if we wanted to compile that to look at even just a year, that could add up pretty quickly. So that's not necessarily something that is going to be feasible at this point, just for some context there. Additionally, the department cannot and does not release any information on open investigations, internal or criminal. So again, if that's some things that you all may have been looking forward to, that's just not feasible. And then just a kind of tidbit in terms of training also, in-service training is provided to officers as topics become available. That's pretty much been how they would get specific trainings for certain topics, and more quote unquote quality, affordable training is going to be more available online now that we are pretty much in the COVID era. So Doug, if you wanted to add anything there or clarify any pieces, I just wanted to take some pieces out of what you had shared with the groups.
No, that's about right. Some of the requests I have to go to other departments to get, so I just ask for a little bit of patience, that's all. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit at their mercy for some of it. What you mentioned about the whole training and the COVID thing, as much as we all are becoming familiar with Zoom, it's still getting a little bit difficult for some of the, to get some good quality training over Zoom. And we're working on that. It's starting to come full circle. We're seeing some better ones coming around now, but it's been an obstacle for us, as we all know. So I just kind of wanted to add on that a little bit. That's about all I got, really.
Okay, thank you. Another, I guess, confidentiality question. The shared drive that Kerry was able to create for us at the beginning of this journey, would it be okay for me to put some of the documents you've shared already in there for just this committee to see?
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think, yeah. Oh yeah, that's fine.
Because I do think there will be a lot of overlap here. So rather than you having to, re-ask for certain things that we may already have, I think that'll be good for us to just kind of put it all in one place. Perfect.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Go ahead. I cannot see because of my screen, which is acting strange right now.
So my question is that it says that we can't have access to any information regarding open investigations or anything of that nature. Does that include like any complaints or concerns that have been submitted by like people?
Can you say it again? I had to turn my volume up.
Sorry. So it says that we don't have access to any open investigation information. Does that include like any complaints that people have submitted against like certain officers, for example?
We can give some basic information on internal investigations that have been conducted and what they have been found on. As far as against an individual, we can't necessarily give those. What I'll do is I can give some of that information out I have to look at it. Our annual report contains some of the basic information on that. The annual reports were available online. I think they still are. If not, I can certainly provide those electronically.
Other questions Luke or Shannon might have just based on what you've received thus far?
Just a thank you, Chief. I know it's a lot of information we're asking for, but thank you for getting to us so quickly. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say the ones I get to quickly, I can generally get at quickly. So I guess the only other question I have is, when you have multiple requests, do you want the requests given as a package all at once, or because I can get certain things very quick, certain things not so quick, or would you like them kind of piecemeal? However I can get them.
Yeah, I think whatever, at least for my purposes, whatever's easiest for you, Chief, to get your hands on.
Okay.
So, Biama, this is Rob. Did you see my request? I know some of it is repetitive with other requests that have come forth.
Yes. So I've already forwarded it to Doug, and so that's an example of one of those. We have some overlap. So once I put the documents we already have in, you might find that some of those asks are already taken care of.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the turnaround was amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate all that information. I was able to take it to my committee immediately. We worked on it like 2 days later in a meeting, so that was extremely helpful. I will be emailing you back for some further details. Yeah. And also, we'd like to set up a time to come down and visit the police station.
Sure, anytime. And that's if anybody wants any clarification on anything, please reach out to me. I admit I'm a little long-winded sometimes, but I'll do my best to explain. I think Shannon will agree I'm a little long-winded.
No, Doug, I think you do a wonderful job in getting back to us and being super thoughtful. You have in the past, with the Human Rights Commission. Please don't worry. Everybody's thankful.
Very thankful. So in the same vein, Shannon, we will jump into subcommittee updates, since many of you have met with your lovely subcommittees. So we don't have to go in any particular order. I just ask that you say the name of your subcommittee for context for those who are looking on. And if you can, cover who's on your committee, how was your first meeting as a group, who do you still need at the table? So for example, if you feel like it might be good to have a mental health counselor on your subcommittee, if that's one of those asks that you still have, this would be a good time to put that out there. Have the documents the chief has provided been helpful? If you just kind of want to elaborate on that. And then when your next meeting is. So whoever wants to go first, feel free.
I'm happy to go if nobody else is jumping to do so. Once I say that, now I can't hear anything. 1 second. Can you folks hear me? Okay. So my committee is committee number 2, which is employing smart and effective policing standards and strategies. We met, I believe it was last Tuesday. We have, including myself, 7 folks on the committee, including Michelle Osterhout of the NAACP, Scott Harrington, who is former law enforcement, as well as on the city council. We also have Deb Parisian, Bridget Stith, Daniel Dreyer, and Frankie Graham. All people live or work in the community. And I believe Frankie is either president or heavily involved in Oneonta Pride Alliance. And what we've decided to do, at least for our first meeting, was to our task force was assigned three main tasks, and it just so worked out that there were about 6 of us, so 2 per task. And what we did was we looked and decided what looked most in kind of our wheelhouse, or that interested us the most, and we divided the task force into smaller task force. And I've been sending the information that Chief Brenner has sent along to the members, and we'll be meeting again, I believe next week to touch base.
I mean, everyone has to go, so it's kind of like.
I can go. I'll go. So I am Shannon McHugh. I am the chair of Subcommittee 4, which is recruiting and supporting excellent personnel. And I have to say that I am so proud of my subcommittee. We have an amazing group of individuals who are extremely dedicated to making sure that, you know, we're moving things in a positive direction in this community. And the group of people is just so varied and diverse. We are so lucky, we are just so lucky to have this group of people that are committed to helping us move our goals forward. So I'm going to shout them all out, including myself. There's 7 of us. The other commission members are Elijah Mackey. There's Akil Croston, Diana Foster, Don Bowden. I always do that. Don Bowden. Sorry, Don. Jonathan Brown and DeAndrea Sengeti Daniels. So as per meetings, we've met a couple of times already. Our meetings are more free form, like free thought. So we start with a question and then we delve in, we develop, we kick ideas off of each other. We're talking like 2-3 hour meetings where we're really developing. We do them weekly. And it's really worked out that way. We take one of the questions and then we discuss it further. Luckily, everyone on the commission has their own way of seeing things. So there's a lot of development and delving into spaces that we may not be thinking of. We have to take a lot into consideration being a college town, you know, and also having our normal local population. Our next meeting, I believe, is going to be next Monday. We do have a Facebook page. If you go on to Facebook, it is going to be under Subcommittee 4. I think I also made it so if you look up Sub 4 Oneonta, you can also find it as well. So far, we had over 800 engagements on that page. And on that page, you will find bios of every person on my committee, or I'm leaking them slowly. So there's more people now. Their bios, their pictures, and I created an email so the community contact us directly. The email for our committee is sub4oneonta@gmail.com. People can also message us through this page. We opted to allow for community members who are interacting with the page the opportunity to become involved in some of our discussions. So we will be posting at points to have people who would like to come in and sit on our discussions and our development in order to keep that piece of transparency going and make sure everybody feels like they're being heard and, you know, we're making good steps, positive steps. So I think that's everything.
Shannon, do you want to share the Facebook page? Like if I make you a co-host, just so people can visually see it.
Absolutely, we can share it.
All right, I'll make.
We're also going to do Instagram, so we're just taking a minute.
I'll make you a co-host. So if you have it pulled up, you'll be able to, or not. Where's Carrie? Are you able to?
I am. She should have the share screen ability. It's on by default for participants of the meeting.
Okay, perfect. So if you try, Shannon, you should be good. So if you try, Shannon.
I am. Can you all see- Great. Where'd you guys go? Can you see still? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What happened?
Now you're kind of going out.
Okay. So I should be right now. Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I guess I don't know how to here. What do I do? Desktop. There we go. Yay! Entire screen share. I am now sharing. All right. So if we go into here, you guys see? Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Luke. If you go up here and type, like I already have in here, here's our official page, subcommittee 4, but also sub 4 Oneana will take you to the same page. I'm going to go ahead and view it as visitor, so we can get an idea of what the community is seeing. All right. So this is Diana. This is her bio. I have this space up here where you can send a message. There's a little bit about us, the people who've liked and followed us. You know, one of my goals was to make sure that I had those bios and pictures up, because you never know who in the community is going to want to interact with who or feel more comfortable reaching out to. So I felt like if the community had a better idea of who's sitting on our subcommittee, that, you know, they may feel more comfortable in reaching out to us if they had ideas. So this is Akil, and that's Elijah, and they're tied to Oneana. I describe our meetings, what's happened in them, you know, while we're looking out to offer opportunities in the future with like polls and outreach, and to have them attend development meetings. That's Don. He was I put him up first. And I announced our advisory board meetings, and I post the Zoom links to make sure that people are aware how to get there. And this was just announcing the page. So according to Facebook thus far, the page has had over 800 interactions. So that's people engaging with the page. You know, which posts, not necessarily, we don't always know, but that's 800 individuals in the community who are learning about the subcommittees. Is that good?
It's great. Thank you.
All righty.
So that's just in case, you know, anyone is looking to really build out their subcommittee. That's just an example. You don't have to do it, just an example of what is happening out here. So, Aaliyah, Rob, who would like to go next? Go ahead, Aaliyah.
I could go next. I wasn't as official as Shannon with it. Like, I'm really impressed by that, by the way. But my subcommittee is composed of 6 people, 2 of which are Oneonta students like myself. So Maha Mohid and Aulat Salami, who are like on the student senate. The next one would be Carrie Allen, who is in the human services department. Deandra, who I'm pretty sure she's also in your subcommittee, Shannon. She served on the NAACP and is an active community member and in the Oneonta for Equality. And Anita, who Yama, you recommended her to me, she was unable to make it to the meeting. So I'm like hoping to like hear more and like interact with her. But I was like kind of hoping to have more mental health counselors, as well as like maybe somebody who's like informed on like budgeting and those sorts of like financial stuff. So we met on Sunday, I believe. And there were like a few ideas that we kind of came up with that I was hoping to share with you guys. And the first one more so had to do with maybe organizing like a board of community members to kind of review any complaints that were made against the police department. Just so, you know, just to kind of see what people have to say, or if there are like any instances of like racial profiling or any biases made against people of color. And it's just like a way for community members to more actively interact with the police department. The next one was sort of finding a set of organizations that needed funding. And we came up with the Otsego County Mental Health, the turning point of Otsego County. So those are kind of like mental health or like homeless and sort of centers for like people that are struggling with drug addiction, which is like, I believe something that like this, that's like really needed for here. So maybe even establishing some sort of like hotline that people can call for instances that don't have to do with criminal offenses. So we were just sort of like, our goal here for the subcommittee, I guess, was to, I don't know, just to create a program that would, sorry, I'm like reading my notes here, create like a program for mental health professionals to kind of respond to these sorts of calls, or some sort of, or to even like purchase some sort of like emergency vehicle so that they would be able to like deal with these sorts of issues themselves. So I was kind of browsing around on the Daily Star just to see like what people in this town were saying. And I like learned that over here, there's just a lot of instances of drug abuse and just reoffender cases and public intoxication. So just trying to come up with a new system of public safety and being able to like more directly address these issues of drug abuse and homelessness. And I just found like a very particular case that stood out to me. And this happened in September, and it's of this man, his name is Keegan Allen, and he was like homeless and he was like continuously arrested. And I think this stood out to me because Chief Brenner, you were in it, like I quoted something that you had said, which is that if that it would kind of be like convenient, I guess, for a judge, well, basically saying that like the only way for him to really have access to sort of mental health or substance abuse services was for him to like go to jail, where this would be like free to him, where it would be more readily available. So that just like kind of reinstated the fact that like there's just like an issue over here of people not having access to these sorts of services that are really essential. And if there is no access to them, or if these sorts of organizations are underfunded, or people just don't have a way of communicating with them, then how do we really expect for people to be rehabilitated? You know, so that's just kind of where our minds are at, is just the issue of why these organizations are so underfunded, and how can we fund them and kind of adjust the police department's budget accordingly. Yeah.
Thank you. Robert?
Hold on here. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, very good. So our subcommittee is the third subcommittee. It's fostering community-oriented leadership, culture, and accountability. We have, let's see, 5 members, including myself. We have 2 faculty, two people from Hartwick, and 2 individuals from Oneonta, SUNY Oneonta. They are Ryan Sarasola, also Kyle Burke, Bryce Wooden, and Catherine Bashaw, and then myself. And what we did is we haven't had our first meeting yet, but we did create a list of documents that we would like to receive, which included budget broken down by personnel, training, and equipment, an employee training manual, if that exists, organizational chart, and a makeup of the police force personnel separated by support and line officers and management for the last 5 years. So we get some longitudinal idea of what's going on. Training and workshops completed over the past 5 years with attendance. Now, these are wish lists, so we may not get everything. List of outreach programs to community the past 5 years and the number of participants. Staffing levels and scheduling patterns of police officers over the past 5 years to include overtime usage and shortages of coverage. Participation in Department of Defense surplus equipment program and items procured through that program over the past 5 years. Number 8, emergency preparedness and mutual aid arrangements, policies and agreements with other municipalities in the area. In particular, UPD, which is not listed there, UPD, that is University Police Department, as well as New York State Troopers, New York State Police, and any community survey that has been completed in the past 5 years, and or a generic categorization of the various complaints and how they were addressed. We would also like, lastly, an internal police survey, if one was done, Chief Brenner, about the quality of life of police officers that was done in the past 5 years, whatever you can share to that effect, because we want to be able to gauge the morale of the police officer and how they feel about their relationship with the community. We have not discussed whether we would like to do a survey ourselves. And the subcommittee also plans to formulate questions after examining the material for Chief Brenner or an appropriate designee. And that's basically where we stand in a nutshell. I have not been as fancy as others in terms of setting up a web page or a Facebook page, but that's where we are at in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, any thoughts, responses about just what everyone has said, or?
No, not really. I think everyone's got a good list, good ideas, got some good direction going there. And we'll just do what we can to give you the information you can get.
Awesome. Gary, any feedback you have for the subcommittees?
I just, thanks. It looks like people have really taken this to heart and digging down deep and wanting to do a thorough job on this. So I appreciate that. I guess I would just want to ask the group at this point if you have any concerns about how this is going or any suggestions of something you'd like to see that has not happened so far, or any direction that you would like to request. So just an opportunity to provide some input and feedback on how this is going so far, or any suggestions for future direction. Luke?
I know this is a bit early into the process, but just as a request, Biama and I talked about this in our one-on-one. As we get closer to to when we start kind of compiling our report, I remember there was mention made that NICOM might potentially have some templates, or some neighboring communities might have a similar kind of layout. Is there any way that you might be able to make that available to committee members as they're putting together their parts of the report?
Thanks, Luke. I did ask NICOM if there were any templates. They did not have that. That said, I think on Thursday, NICOM, by the way, for those that don't know, is the New York Conference of Mayors. There is a webinar workshop on this subject. So there'll be a number of cities throughout the state involved. I will be attending that, and I think the police chief will be attending as well as Katie Botka will be attending. So hopefully we will get some good information about what other communities are doing out of this. And we'll share with you whatever we get on Thursday.
Thanks, Mayor.
Anyone else have some points of clarification they want?
I definitely would appreciate if we could get all of what's been asked for. So if we could have that in one space. Some of the questions that I do have for the chief are going to be more specific because of information I've already gotten. But in totality, I would like access to everything. Some of what the other chairs are talking about are some things that my committee is developing as well or has ideas about as well. There's some overlap. So access for everyone to the same information would be amazing.
Sure can do, no problem. I'll make it a document and then put it in the shared drive so it'll be a live document as more questions come in / are answered. That'll be the easiest way to kind of maintain it. Thanks for that, Shannon.
Is everyone comfortable with the participation you have on your subcommittees?
Thus far, yes.
Okay, we want to, again, we're doing something that we've never done before. So there will probably be some, probably stops and starts along the way to figure it out as we go. Want to avoid frustrations. So that's why if there are concerns or suggestions for direction going forward, best to voice them early so we can avoid frustrations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So,
just like a little bit, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just like a little side note, I make sure to check in with my members and ask them, what would you like to see different? Would you, if they have suggestions after meetings, and I just make sure to check in with them and say, hey, what did you think about this? Even if it's after every meeting real quickly, just, a quick message. And actually, I found that to be much easier because it's fresh. People are like, hey, I wish this was happening. Is there a way to make that happen? Great. We love feedback. Awesome. So next time we try to, so that way it doesn't build up into anything. We try to nip it in the bud early and just, because it is a lot that we're doing. And I think it would be easy to maybe overlook making sure that they're happy to in the process. And
That's very good feedback, Shannon. And obviously everyone, you don't have to have a Facebook group or Instagram and all that, but I do think touching base with the members just when you're not meeting, just to, again, keep it on their mind because everyone has lives. They're, kind of navigating COVID. They're just dealing with life in general. So I think just touching base with the people on your subcommittees is going to be a nice touch point to make sure that we're maintaining the workload still. With that said, our next and last meeting for this larger committee is going to be the 8th. So December 8th at 7 p.m. My hope is that for the remainder of the month, being that, it's kind of leading into the holidays, etc., people may have travel plans, whatnot, that you all are working independently for that time being. So it's not a, oh yay, we're on break. It's no, you're working hopefully with your subcommittee to make sure that you're advancing, you know, just the mission here. Because like I said at our last meeting, before you know it, we're going to be in April and this is going to be due. And we don't want to be that city that's like, oops, our bad, we didn't put anything together. So I really strongly encourage all of you to work, use December wisely. You know, again, try to do more earlier in the month. For those students that are on the line, obviously earlier in the month is kind of your final schedule. So just make sure that you're just noting your peaks and valleys within the month of December as well.
Biama, this is Rob. As we proceed with the process, is it possible that the committee can take out an ad in the Daily Star or Hometown Oneonta, or an announcement in the radio that we are soliciting comments from the community on these 4 areas, and then, you know, or any of the concerns that they may have, and then if you could, or if everyone could share that information, or if you would send them out to the various committees that you think it is relevant. Something like that, I think, would be a very helpful outreach to the community, so the community knows that this is going on.
That's a great idea. Is that feasible, Gary? Something we can.
You know, anything is feasible. You know, if that's deemed the best way to reach people. You know, of course, social media is another opportunity. And, you know, another thing we can do is we could set aside a meeting to be, in essence, a virtual public hearing, where we could say that at this meeting, the public can sign in order to make comment. We, you know, as we do at most of our public hearings, we ask that the comments be kept below 3 minutes. People can submit a written comment if they want to go longer than that. That would be welcome. And but the verbal comments be 3 minutes or less, and people could. It's not a dialogue back and forth, but people can make their comments, and it becomes part of the record.
Thank you.
That's something that's seen as desirable. That's something we can certainly do.
Yeah. Is everyone else kind of, you know, looking for that opportunity?
I was thinking of making some sort of like Instagram page, just for like people to kind of say what they have to say, any questions or comments that they have. Just because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of more people will be on social media, but then there's like a lot of people within the community that may not have access to social media, and they only can like get a newspaper or something. So that's something to be mindful about too.
You know, you're right. There different demographics are reached through different modes of communication today. The people who would get it through Instagram or Facebook are not the same as the people who would read the Daily Star necessarily, or that would log into a public hearing. So if you use any one of those avenues, you're only going to get a cross-section of the population.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll look into this a bit more. Katie, I'll likely be tapping you to set it up. And then I will report back out on pretty much what's going to be the best moving forward. In terms of a public hearing, do you all want to use a date maybe in December for that to happen? So that way, again, it's not us necessarily meeting, but it's an opportunity for the community members to kind of voice their thoughts.
I'm definitely down for the meeting, but like we were kind of discussing, there's going to be a certain population that's going to feel comfortable coming out and voicing their, concerns in this public hearing. So while it is good, we will get a certain population, I think we should also kind of develop some other ways to reach other populations that aren't necessarily going to come out and voice their concerns publicly, especially like considering that I had some issues getting people on my subcommittee because they were nervous. So there are groups that we have to consider in the community that we may not be reaching that way.
Mhm. So I think that could be where we put forward just a standard email address. And Carrie, I don't know if there's one already that potentially we can kind of use to field everything.
There's a Gmail account associated with the drive that you're using, which would be able to receive those messages.
Awesome. So Shannon, I think to your point, we can use that as one way. We can put it in the Daily Star with the email or letting people know who read that another way. Instagram, Facebook, I think those of you who have those kind of up and running, that's another way. So I think, we're never going to catch everyone, but we'll do our best to catch as many as we can. So,
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that most of the people who come to a public hearing come to express a concern. It should not be advertised that way because some people come to express appreciation, or support of something. So it's not just to express concerns, even though, I can tell you personally, I've learned that most people come, have something to complain about. But it's not designed to be only concerns. It's an opportunity for people to weigh in a positive way as well.
yeah, we'll make sure the messaging is open for both and everything that comes in between. But I'll email everyone for us to kind of maybe pick a date in December that works. Might send out a doodle poll just so it works with our schedules. Again, thinking holidays and what have you, we want to be intentional with that specific date. Anything else for the good of the group?
One last question in terms of documents, when it's on the shared drive, do we allow subcommittee members to have access to that, or how is that going to work?
Yes, everyone has access already. I'll reshare it. I actually have the email drafted with the link again. So once you click the link, you'll have access into it.
Thank you.
I will just ask that we don't share it with anyone outside of this specific group, just because, again, there are a lot of sensitive documents that are going to be put in there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Bianca. Things can get misinterpreted. The problem is when things get out into the public without explanation, they can be misinterpreted. And then before you know it, information is being spread like wildfire on social media. That is not what is really communicated on the document because there was no explanation. So for that reason, please exercise caution that the people who see the documents are only people who see them with discussion and explanation, so that we don't get people jumping to conclusions that aren't true. And we've all learned how quickly those type of things, that whether they're true or not, fly across social media.
And if you're looking for explanation, remember your lovely liaisons on the call here. So Gary, Doug, Katie, and Carrie. They are our sources here. So if you want to invite them to one of your upcoming subcommittee meetings, I strongly advise that you do so. So that way, again, we're getting context in addition to the data.
I'm happy to attend, if anybody wants me there. I don't want to butt in if not.
Any other thoughts, comments, concerns? Everyone's peachy.
Yeah, I just had one quick thing
Mm-hmm.
for the group. after we finish the whole process, the executive order and everything, I'm just curious of like, where do we go from there once the proposal goes in? Because I feel like just what's been created in this, this last month, could be, year round, with subcommittees and these fresh ideas. Just with the communication's just been great. So I'm just curious to see where do we go, after the executive order, where can we go? Where are our limits?
Bryce, that's a good question. And I think that part of this committee's job can be to recommend ways that there is continued dialogue and inclusion on the subject. So I think that falls to this committee to recommend specific ways in which there can be continued involvement as part of your report. And keep in mind that your report will go to the council as a recommendation, and then the council can adopt it as is or can make changes to it. But your report, if you have strong feelings about what can be done going forward for people, keeping people involved, that should be part of a recommendation in your report.
Mhm. All right. I think we're all set then. So our next meeting is 12/8. I will share again the shared drive link with everyone right after this. Like I said, it's literally drafted already. So likely tomorrow I will start dropping the documents in. So don't look for documents tonight. It's just going to be the agendas that are in there for now. But moving forward, as we get more documents from Chief Brenner, I will put those in as well. Okay.
You're all amazing.
Yes, agreed.
Thanks, everyone.
Here is amazing. Have a great night.
Take care, all. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, that's happening.
Lucy.
Yes.
Yes.
So great.
Ah, you're supposed to be here to help and support Luke. What are you doing?
Well, that was pretty nice and supportive, but I can take it back.
is. No, it is. Thank you, Luke, and same to you.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Guys, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.